Welcome to the Strategic Life Podcast, episode 96, The Meaning of Christmas, with your host, Coach Mario.
Dr. Mario.
Along with Frank on the shelf.
Sir, your
no childhood.
Your closet game is strong, and your mittens are fantastic.
These things, as adorable as they are, have been a nightmare to wear all day.
So if you're listening and not watching, we are available on YouTube.
But I do it for you guys, because I love you.
And on Spotify, which now includes video. If you haven't gotten there yet, Frank is dressed as an elf.
Frank on the shelf.
Yeah, here's Frank on the shelf, and he's got a lovely pair of mittens. So jump over to live.
I got nothing, man. Like that's.
So jump on the video. You can see him in mittens, y'all.
Woo.
And a onesie. No, this isn't a onesie. This The rest of the holidays you're expected to wear outfits at this point. So
I got to figure out New Year's now.
Yes.
You got to figure out Easter and St. Patrick's Day.
Valentine's coming and
Cupid.
just as a heart. You know, Cupid.
Whoa. You guys are thinking what I'm thinking.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I mean, that's just
this is a true meaning of Christmas podcast.
The meaning
folks.
of Christmas is getting lost already, folks, but it's never lost here in our hearts and in the studio. Yes. So the meaning of Christmas, there's an origin, right? There's an origin of Christmas, and
yes.
Things change, and there's Christmas cards will just take off Christmas and take off the Christ and put Xmas, and it becomes about presents and all kinds of other things. But we want to talk about. I guess we're going to talk about some history, yeah? Dr. Mario's going to hit us with some his story,
yeah,
as well as what it means to us individually for Coach Mario, Dr. Mario, along with Frank.
Frank on the shelf.
On the shelf. So let's start there. Dr. Mario, what does Christmas... Are we going? What's the meaning to you? Let's go historical first, yeah?
All right, we'll go historical.
Where's Chris? Tell us where Christmas came from.
Well, I want to piggyback on what you shared. There's a move of culture to cancel everything, and so part of that is the happy holidays and that sort of thing. But if you really know the true meaning of Christmas, it's the celebration to remember the birth of Jesus Christ, who for me is my personal Lord and Savior. And different faiths, right? The Catholic faith, the Christian, Judeo-Christian faith, they have different celebrations. But the name Christmas comes from the Mass of Christ or Jesus. It's a service, which is sometimes called communion or the Eucharist, where Christians remember the birth and death and resurrection of Jesus Christ when he came back to life. And so that particular Mass was the only one that was allowed to be held at midnight or to take place after sunset and before sunrise the next day. So people had it at midnight. That's how it started. So we get the name Christ Mass, and they shortened it to Christmas. Christmas is now celebrated, as we all know, all around the world. And many traditions, many faiths share the belief of the birth of Jesus Christ. Here's what's interesting is that no one really knows the actual date. Because that's a question that I get.
The actual date of what?
Birthday. Of the birth of Jesus.
Oh, I knew what you meant. I just want to make sure if anyone was like, what date? Christmas is December 25th. We know that.
Oh, he was swinging his hand, so you went date.
He was swinging his mittens.
Mittens. Got it.
So no one knows the actual date of the birth of Christ.
No one does.
Correct. And it's funny because the Bible has some chronological evidence to specific events and when they happen. This is not one of those. So this is kind of up for interpretation.
Well, the first recorded in historical account date of Christmas being celebrated on December 25th was in the year 336. So if you take a look at the calendar before, after Christ kind of thing, the possibilities is that it didn't happen in year one, but maybe slightly earlier before Christ, if that makes sense. And possibly could be up to 4 before Christ. All right. So there's a little room there, but we don't know the actual date, but it is celebrated on December 25th. Based on the historical first event in the year 336. So it's been a while.
Okay. So interestingly enough, I mean, I mentioned a moment ago, I think most holidays are like this, where it's just been commercialized, right? I mean, and if you've watched Christmas movies, except for the Lifetime ones where it's just, like
We know the plot.
where it's the business.
See, I don't like Lifetime during the year except for Christmas.
The businesswoman who comes from the big city who doesn't believe in Christmas to the single dad who's a good dad, who's a carpenter, who's going to show her the real meaning of Christmas and get her to fall in love with
in
the
the
home,
small town.
in the small town environment. It's the
Those
same-
are great. Stop.
There you go.
It's the same thing. Anyways, but I mean, like I said, it's been commercialized, and I think everything has. Like, so Easter, they make like Easter with the rabbits, and Christmas with just the gifts. So the meaning gets lost, I think, and then in a lot of different ways. And for some people, what say you, Frank?
Well, we all have different meanings for things, right? Holidays are no different, right? It's up for interpretation, right? I think specifically Christmas, it's very traditional, and it's one of those holidays you try to keep the tradition. Thanksgiving, some of that, but Thanksgiving, aside from the food, doesn't really have another major tradition, right? Is, hey, where are we gonna eat?
Football, yeah.
Right, that's about it. Football, right?
Pumpkin pie.
Correct. But Christmas does, because Christmas, for example, has Noche Buena, the 24th. And to some, that's when you celebrate it. And how you celebrate it, for some, it's a giant party, family, pig and Heineken.
I think we're gonna put that as an official poll. Do you celebrate Christmas Eve, or for my Spanish people, Noche Buena, or Christmas on Christmas morning?
Because
that's going to be a poll.
That is a Spanish.
It's Spanish.
Yeah, it's Noche
tradition.
Buena or Christmas, right?
Correct.
So
my argument, I'm letting you know right now.
or both, man. That's a beautiful.
My political party belief is that Santa can't come if you don't go to sleep. So you can't have a good night if you didn't go to bed because you've been partying.
That's also correct.
So you got to go to sleep and wake up Christmas morning to
And
open
the
the
best way to go to sleep for me, my meaning of Christmas, is caja china and a cooler full of Heinekens with una botellita Black Label. And you go and you
Cajachina, for those of
celebrate.
you who don't know what cajachina is,
Look it up.
It's that.
We don't explain jokes here.
It's not a joke. It's a pig in a big metal box where they roast it, right?
Correct.
There you go.
Cajachina's roasted pig. And
That's what it is.
Is it a Cuban thing?
It's a Cuban
Cuban,
thing.
that's
It's
a-
a Cuban tradition because in Puerto Rico,
in the box, yes,
in the box, yes. In Puerto Rico, pig on a stick.
pig on a stick.
In Hawaii, don't they put
In
it
the Pacific
under the
Islanders,
ground?
correct? It's in the ground.
ground,
But
yeah.
same principle with all of them. Well, the stick not so much because that's more rotisserie. The Pacific Islanders do something. Can't take myself there. Are very close because
Neither can we.
because the heat lifts up, so it slow cooks the pig. The slow heat that goes down slow roasts the pig.
And what options do you have for vegans on this night?
Pig and Heineken.
Pig and Heineken. There you go.
Heineken is what?
Wow.
Brewski. Beer.
Oh yeah.
Cervecita.
Not there for me, but here's what's interesting, right? So the Roman emperor,
We're going back to
we
history.
took a left
Back to
turn,
history.
right?
Back to history. No more cooking.
yeah,
Hold on.
Constantine
He's got to use his notes.
is the one that declares the first Christmas, right? So it was not an official Roman state festival at the time. Though.
And this was that year 336 that you mentioned? Ah,
36.
by Constantine. Didn't know that.
But here's another thing. The tradition talks about the day, some religious circles talk about the day of the Annunciation, which means the day that the Virgin Mary heard the announcement from the angel. And they cast that particular date. And some religions, some traditions celebrate it March 25th. Therefore, 9 months later, there you go. So that's how they get to that Christmas on December 25th. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Wow.
Makes sense.
But again,
So make sure
one
you
knows.
select on the poll on this podcast that you celebrate Christmas morning.
I don't know, man.
Because that's going to be...
Again, it depends. I think for the most part, the 25th in the morning, everybody celebrates, right? Because even if you do the Noche Buena and the 24th and the festivity and the party, or I've also seen where on the 24th at midnight, like you said, some go to church. I've done that with my mom, right? And again, we're Catholic, so we've done that, the mass at night. And you can also do that, but you have a tendency of celebrating both days, right? You kind of make it a...
Double dipping, I see.
Yeah, let's
double eating,
as
I guess.
far as how we've industrialized Christmas,
Commercialized.
or commercialized Christmas, yeah, that happens to everything, man. I think it's one of those moments where we want to give gifts, right, and that's it, but materialistic. It's better to give something small with significance than it is if you just go out and splurge and buy, and 2 months down the line you're looking at it and you're like, yeah, this is completely useless, or the kids have so much toys that there's still stuff unopened, or you got to give it away. So it really is about coming together and what can we do for each other, what can we do with each other.
It's about families, it's about celebration of Christ, but it's about getting together and showing that love that Christ obviously promoted throughout the world. What's interesting is that depending on your own heritage, your culture, and even in the Latino families, right? Now they call it Latinx, whatever, I can't figure it out. It's interesting that some will celebrate with the big feast on the 24th. Mm-hmm. That's the way my wife was brought up. But when we got married, we shifted the tradition. We don't do Noche Buena. We do the big party on Christmas Day, celebrate Jesus' birthday. Matter of fact, my daughter Erica started a tradition where she actually buys a birthday cake and sings Happy Birthday, Jesus, which is a very popular song.
With the kids, yeah.
With the kids. Mm-hmm. So traditions evolve.
So having said that, and since we're in it, what does Christmas mean to you? I think you started already.
I did.
But what else? What does it really mean? You hear my bells jingling?
What? ¿Cómo?
My last two brain cells on my hat.
His last.
All right, so we'll go around the table. So, Dr. Mario, to you specifically, what does it mean? When you wake up on the 24th or the 25th, what do you feel?
Well, for me, it's obviously the opportunity to rise and know that Jesus came to basically rescue my life as a sinner. Paul talks about all have sinned but fall short. By the grace of God is it that we're saved. So it's that grace because Jesus was born and then he died for our sins. So there's that exchange of his life. The greatest gift anyone can give, the good book talks about, is that you give your life for a friend. So I believe that for me, it's being able to live by those values and principles that he walked the earth. How I treat others, how I love to be treated is in the same way that I would treat you, right? And so for me, it's all about love. Loving into a growing relationship with Jesus. Mm. It's actually our mission at Miami Vineyard Community Church. So
plug.
And as you visit your children and you hand them that Breville coffee maker this year, what
you notice that
that's what we're getting?
You notice that NLP installation that he just tried to use?
You hand him that.
I'm down to get a coffee machine.
That new model.
I can't even grab the mug with these things. Right? It's so slippery.
I jokingly say because my mom was the one peeping the new coffee model. I'm like, well, let me get the old one because the old one was still a Porsche. You know what I'm saying? But so that is the meaning. Frank, what is the meaning of Christmas to you?
Expensive shoes under the. No, I'm playing. Man, for me, family. Coming together and taking the day to really just say thank you. For me, it's like Thanksgiving part 2. That's the way it feels. Oh. As where we come together, we say thank you. It's a way for us to share our success for the year, in the sense of coming together for breakfast and we laugh about things. The kids are opening up gifts, and seeing that and being able to deliver that, plan that out, it means a lot. To see the innocence in people, right? And not just little kids, but to see the innocence in people. Everybody's in a better mood. Everybody's in more of an uptick. Weather's nicer, even though it's still hot down here. Trust me. But for me, it's that. For me, it's just family. It's all around family and friends, and it's a beautiful thing. The text messages, right? Oh, Merry Christmas, hope you're doing well, and yes, this, and it's just positive vibes. I think it's also a moment where we can give back, in more than one way. Charity comes to mind, but it doesn't always have to be some big charity drive. It doesn't always have to be just giving back to the people around you in your circle, right? Sometimes it could be a little bit of support. Sometimes it could be just, by an expression, a hug, words, conversations. That goes a long way sometimes in anything materialistic you can provide. Another thing you can do, so charity, family, friends. Those are, for me, that's the true meaning of Christmas, to bring all of that together. It's a day where it feels like everybody in your life brings that together.
Excellent.
Coach?
What say ye?
If I had to ask myself what the meaning of Christmas is to me, Christmas. Merry Christmas, y'all.
You got to do the brain cell thing first, though.
Right. So yeah, I mean, definitely. I think one of the most interesting is that as I think about Christmas morning itself or Christmas Day itself, is I think my first instincts as a parent is just watching my kids light up. So yes, same for both. Yes, it's about family, and yes, it's about obviously the birth of Christ for me. It's so different, I guess, being a parent than being a kid, because when you're a kid, you just you think of all the things you want. You go around. I mean, at least back in my day, when I used to walk uphill both ways to get to school and all that,
Barefoot.
I would circle like that big Toys R Us book of all the crap. Like, here, Mom. Actually, I remember cutting it out. And putting it like on paper, and I'd hand it to her. Like, here's all the things that I want. Lots of Ghostbusters and Ninja Turtle stuff.
He still does that.
But it's on his Amazon wish
No, it's on an Amazon wish
And I
list.
have to print the wish list and then paste it onto construction
True
paper.
story.
But I mean, I think it's much different now that I'm older, since it's shifted. I mean, it's more about, as most parents would say, just watching the kids' faces and seeing their excitement for it all. And I think, for me, I think it hits most once it's all over. Because then I'm just left with all these people. No. No, because then you're just with the family and you just, you know what I mean? Like, the excitement of all that stuff, even for them, is it's not that it's over. Then, well, for some of it is. Jordan still likes to look around like, this was it? There's no more gifts? I'm like, you got 43 things. And he's like, that's it? All right. I guess I'll open some and play with them now. But I think that's kind of when it sets in for me, that I can kind of look around and just really be thankful for all the blessings that I have and for what we have, even if we've opened up a whole bunch of new stuff, including the Breville XPJ 1000 coffee machine that Dr. Mario is. I don't know.
Another attempt at installation.
I don't know if that's the model number, and I'm totally kidding, by the way.
That's so good.
It is a really gangster.
No,
coffee.
he's not. He called
It's
his
a
mother
really
on it.
gangster coffee maker. It's like $900. It's out of this world.
900.
It better make more than coffee.
You know the cafecito you could buy with 900?
Yeah, but let me tell you. Like, I don't have that model, but the step-down model,
Got the old one,
I have
which
in
I'll
my-
take in
in my
case you
coffee
upgrade.
bar. People say it's better than Starbucks. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's the one at the coffee bar.
Yeah,
Correct.
Oh, no, that one's
There's a
legit,
newer one
There's a newer one with a hamper with
with a hamper.
With a
You put your
damper.
clothes in it.
a damper. A damper.
The clothes is the filter.
though. That's wild.
It's crazy.
But no, I mean, I think, like I said, after all that is the time I really look around and just know how thankful I am, blessed for all the things that I have already, amongst all the other things, and I can really appreciate all those things and that time, because obviously it's depending on your business, right? If you work retail, then we're sorry. But other than that, it's for me, business wise, it's not as hectic in my line of work. So I do get that break, even if I didn't want it in some areas, which is great, because it's a great time to slow down and reset as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good way to plan out, for the end of the year. And I think you're right that once Christmas passes, the next day, the 26th, we all kind of just make like an adjustment to, okay, now on to the next year, right? So the year feels more like it closes on the 25th than it does even on the 31st.
Although if you have a large company and many employees, the turnaround time in the month of December is pretty.
it is huge.
The turnaround isn't good, and especially if you're in sales or outbound and calling, and no one's available. I think the phrase is this a 2022 problem, or can this wait till 2023?
Yeah, man.
So I think the consensus is that it's all about celebration.
Yeah.
Celebrating God, celebrating family, celebrating each other. But it's also, and we don't want to minimize the fact that there's many individuals who are not celebrating because of the passing of a loved one, or the loss of a relationship or that sort of thing. So how would you, Coach, encourage someone that has gone through some emotional breakdown, anxiety, breakup, loss, grief? What encouragement would you give to them?
I mean, I think
On this day.
that, and I think it's the world has a weird way of doing things sometimes, and the amount of people I've met in the past who have lost somebody around Christmas and New Year's is kind of it's crazy. Like, doesn't happen. I'm sure it happens every day, but I mean, I've met so many people that, the day Thanksgiving Day, my mom died. I lost my dad on Christmas Eve. I think it's most important to just live in the moment for that person. I want to say live for those individuals, and for those who are going through something, depression, anxiety, or maybe you lost your job recently. There's a reason you're here, and there's a purpose for everything, and it's just as we mentioned, after the 26th, there's a great opportunity to reset. There's always a great opportunity to start over. So you have to really take that mentality. Is the door closed, or is just a new one opening for me? Sometimes you can't see the positivity when you're surrounded with all the negative, and so it really takes a mindset shift to start to see your way out. You can't step in the right direction unless you're looking in the direction you want to go, which is out of the funk.
And to what Coach's point, you're absolutely right. It is a mindset. It is how you perceive it. You're going to go through struggles. You're going to go through hard moments. My grandmother passed away on the 25th, my dad's mom. So for my dad, every year he wakes up and he remembers that. And then you could tell it hits him at some point. But he always goes back to, but look what I have now. I'm celebrating this. Right. So gratitude, a happiness, a positive lifestyle, and how you become a better you for yourself is if you're happy with what you have. Gratitude is found in what you have, not what you want. So if you remember the moments with that person, even if you're going through a rough one, right? And we've gone through holidays where it's been rough. I know I have.
We all have.
And hey, but you know what? I'm here with people who love me, who wanted me. Tomorrow are going to take care of me. Tomorrow are going to help me. Tomorrow are going to push me to do better. And if you take that moment, it clears out a lot, if not all of the negativity, all of the bad, all of the hurt, all of the pain. Hey, I went through a breakup and I miss so-and-so and this and that. They're not there. Don't sit at a chair and just dwell and sulk and do depression like we do. Take a moment to see who's around you, and hey, you know what? This person still loves me. I don't want to be missing out for somebody else.
Yeah. And you have to live for them. For those moments they're not there, do your living, do your loving, and show them how great things are as you carry on their memory and make more memories for yourself.
I always say that
you have to live for those people because they didn't have the opportunity, so that you have that opportunity to live with those memories, then through you, and carry that on.
And same thing with the financial side, right? Because we hear that a lot, right? The holidays are very difficult financially for people. If you're making it a financial thing, you're doing the holiday incorrect. Right. You're hurting for the wrong reasons.
I like that.
So if you're at a moment today and you're like, man, I'm struggling to buy gifts, don't. You're going to be surprised how many people around you are going to look around and say, we don't want your gift. We're happy you're here. And that should be enough. And that's going to be a new tradition, something beautiful you guys are going to build on. So don't apply pressure on yourself to remember somebody through grief. Don't apply pressure on yourself financially to go outside of your means. No. The people who genuinely care and love you don't want any of that.
The greatest gift you can give this season is your presence.
Yep.
That's how I just want to sum it up. Your presence, just be there. Be aware of individuals that may be crying for help, and just give them a kind word. Don't judge them. Don't try to steer them one way or the other. No one needs that when there's loss. We've all experienced loss, so we speak from experience.
Yep. I think, I think that in closing, we'll settle it with that. It doesn't matter if you can afford the Breville XJP 1000 or not. Again. But no, ultimately, whether you can afford gifts, whether you can't, whether your gifts are homemade or not, Dr. Mario summed it up best. Your presence is the present.
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.